After running cold email campaigns for over 4 years now and generating millions in revenue, I still see the same mistakes being made over and over for B2B companies and agencies. So in this video, I'm going to break down all the misconceptions that I see out there and show you what actually works to generate consistent pipeline for your business. Just as some social proof, here is a bunch of people that we have helped recently. And also here is leads that we have generated in the past month and a bit, so around 800. So the first thing I want to talk about, which may seem extremely basic to some, but I would say a lot of the time I get on the call with people and this is where they have messed up and they've kind of fallen at the first hurdle of cold outreach, and that's just getting the technical setup wrong and burning your inboxes. I'm not a big proponent on it having to be perfect. I definitely think that if you have a good offer, if people care about what you can do a lot of this kind of wrong, but you still need the foundation to be correct. So number one, sourcing inboxes. So at a very high level, you cannot use your primary inboxes. You cannot use what you do every day for your business to send out cold emails. Why? Because there's a high likelihood that you will eventually burn the domain and the inboxes you're sending from. Some people just hate receiving emails from people they don't know, and so they'll mark it as spam. And if you get enough emails marked as spam, your email is going to start to go to spam. That's the number one trigger that Google and Microsoft looked at. So your email is going to start going to spam, and then when you need to email your current client or someone, it's going to go to spam, and you can't really have that. Because of this, you do not want to send from any inboxes associated with your main domain. So don't get cute with it. Don't make like a subdomain of your domain. Just make a whole new domain and get inboxes associated with that new domain. So our company's carrotsnotsticks.com. This will be the domain where you could get like go-carrotsnotsticks.com as a new domain. Okay. Then you're going to get inboxes set up for that new domain. Manually going through this process is a pain and it's actually quite expensive. So what we recommend and what everyone's going to recommend is you buy through resellers or SMTP providers. So resellers are essentially people that are selling Google or Microsoft inboxes on their behalf, and they can do it cheaper because they're doing it at scale. But you need to be wary of bad actors in the space who are either like doing some shady things behind the scenes to make it cheaper for them, and so they've got better margin. So you're just going to need to make sure that you're working with people that you trust. Here are two pretty good resellers. Zapmail is one of them, and InboxKit is another. And if you don't want to have to go through this process, SmartLead and I think Instantly as well, who are the main sequencers, and I can talk about sequencing in a second, allow you to just buy email accounts. I think they call it smart senders in here. And if you go to their vendors, I believe Zapmail and InboxKit are their top two vendors on their website anyway. So you can either buy it from the source. Like Zapmail is $4.50. If I go here, Zapmail is going to be, I'm assuming, cheaper. Yeah, down to $3, $3.50. Yeah, so definitely cheaper to buy it from here. I would recommend this. Just go to the resale, save yourself some money. Just to clear up what a sequencer is, just so that we're all on the same page here, is you're going to have these domains. Right, you're going to buy a new domain. You're going to then attach inboxes. And again, like I said, you can do this through a reseller. Right? Let's say you've got a domain and you set 2 inboxes. Right? You're then going to attach these to a sequencer, like SmartLead or Instantly are the two main players in the cold outreach space. So sequencer, right? And this is going to, for one, it's going to do your warming, but it's also going to, you're going to upload your target leads, and it will then send your emails, send, and it will receive your emails. Okay, so this sequencer is going to be either SmartLead or Instantly for pretty much anyone here. You can also use something like Email Bison, which we have used as well, and we would also recommend Email Bison. Next thing I want to talk about is warming inboxes. So inboxes are typically far more likely to go to spam if emails are sent when the domain was purchased, created. I've got a question mark here because I'm not 100% sure if it's purchased or created, but we always buy them through like GoDaddy or Namecheap or Porkbun. So we just know that essentially it's automatically on spam filters or on spam lists or on block lists if the domain has been purchased in the last 14 days. All right. So part of warming a domain, warming an inbox, is literally that time has passed since you bought it. So it's just slightly more aged. But also what warming does is you're essentially putting your inbox in a pool with a whole lot of other inboxes, and they're all sending and receiving emails from each other. And if it goes to spam, it's automatically moving out of spam into the primary inbox. And so this is giving Google and Microsoft a whole lot of green filters, green ticks, green check marks that your inbox is healthy and human and doing the right things. Okay? So you have to warm your inboxes for 2 weeks. Some people don't. Some people warm them for longer, all these things. At a basic level, just warm your inboxes for 2 weeks. At a basic level, smart lead and instant leads warming is fine. It doesn't need to be more complicated than that. I would say if you're having issues, it's not going to be because you're warming in the smart lead warming pool. It's because no one cares about what you're emailing them. So don't over-index on warming. Just make sure that you're doing 2 weeks of warming. Another thing that people have issues with, verify emails before using them. Okay, if you scrape an email list and then just go and send it, and it turns out that 10 of the emails in your list of 50 weren't real emails because they've changed company or they've been deleted or something, then you're going to burn your accounts because, again, Google and Microsoft, if you send out a whole lot of emails today and they all bounce, they're like, this seems suspicious. Maybe they don't actually know these people. Okay, so just verify them. We use Lead Magic. We've also had a good experience with Million Verify and Never Bounce, but find what makes the most sense for you. Sending settings. The main thing that you care about with the sending settings, in all honesty, is the volume you're sending. Okay, so when we're doing Gmail, we would always do about 7 new leads, right? And it would send us 2-step sequence, so 14 emails a day per account. So if you wanted to send, let's say, 10,000 emails a month, 10,000, is that 10,000? Yep. That would be 322 a day. And let's say you're doing 7 net new leads a day, you need 46 inboxes. Okay. If you are buying them yourself, like they're like $10 or sometimes $16, it's quite a lot of money to send that volume. Okay. If you're buying through a reseller, you could see their prices, you could get them for like this sort of price. Okay. So the less, the better, but you need to balance this out with the cost. Like, would it be better if you sent 1 new lead a day? Like, for sure, but it's going to be 7 times the price and no one can afford that. Okay. I wouldn't over-index on this. Like, yeah, cool, plain text is better. Again, none of this is anywhere near as important as people caring about what's in the email. Email content. What you put in the email can also impact deliverability from like a high level. Don't send links in the first email for obvious reasons. That's how people get scammed, is they click on links from people that they don't know. So fair enough that Google and Microsoft punish you for doing that. If you send out lots of emails and all the emails are exactly the same, then that obviously looks spammy, because typically when you email people, they're different emails. And if you use spammy words, so free, guarantee, this sort of thing. Okay, so you just want to avoid these things. That being said, we had campaigns that were absolutely crushing it with links in the first email. They didn't burn. Why? Because fundamentally people cared about the email. Okay, and this is what I got here. P.S. If the market likes our offer or your offer, you can mess up most of the stuff, not all of the stuff, but most of it, and get away with it. If your market likes what you're emailing about, they'll constantly give Google and Microsoft signals that what you do is not spam. So if you've got 2 ends of the spectrum, you've got someone marks it as spam, or someone responds with positive sentiment, because Google and Microsoft know the content of these emails and says, wow, thank you so much, this is amazing. This is a big green flag, this is a big red flag. You want to have as many of these as possible, and it's going to outweigh this stuff. Oh, cool, you're sending thousands of emails and they're all the same. They're over here. If most people reply and say, amazing, Holani, you're the man, thank you so much for this, that's going to outweigh that. So this is the most important thing to focus on. Don't get too in the weeds with this and make that stop you from doing outreach and growing your business. Focus on this. Okay? The next thing I want to talk about is making the assumption that prospects care about what you do. So people that we talk to have typically come from the background where their business has grown through referral or word of mouth. And now they've gone to the point where either that has died somewhat and they're like, oh, we need to generate business, or that referral and word of mouth is not keeping up with the pace of how fast they want to grow their business, right? And either of those two positions, you have the misconception, you have the wrong assumption that you understand what the market wants. You understand what the market of people coming to you want. You don't necessarily understand what the outbound market wants. So I think I've got an example down here. I'm talking about SEO. But let's say you're an SEO agency and you've grown through referrals and word of mouth. You would assume that the market likes good SEO and maybe they want like more transparency and maybe they have these sorts of ideas about SEO, etc. The outbound market actually thinks SEO is a scam. Right? That's actually what the outbound market thinks of SEO. The inbound market that's come to you warm referral does not think that. Okay, so this misconception about what the market actually wants means that you write offers and copy and go down this path which is not aligned to the truth. Okay, if you go and look at your spam folder right now, I guarantee that the majority of these cold emails focus on talking about like their offer and their products of like, we've got this feature and we can do this thing 10 times better, and you read it and be like, I don't care. Like, I don't even know what half these features are. This means absolutely nothing to me. It doesn't mean that their product wouldn't be valuable to you, but you're not at the stage where the information they're sharing on this email has any relevance to you. You're way further than this. If what they do can make you 10% better margin because it can save costs on it can just say like, hey, we've got a product that can help agencies make 10% better margin on staffing costs. Do you mind if I send over a quick video? That is going to outperform talking about all the features and benefits of their like staffing program or something. Okay, so lots of people make the assumption that prospects care about what you do. They typically don't. Okay, the outbound market does not know who you are and does not care about what you do. You probably are not even aware of the problem that you're solving. They only care about what you can do for them. What is the result? Okay, and this is typically why, at a deeper level, most often you're going to go with some sort of outcome-based angle. Hey, we can get you this result. Do you want me to share a quick video on how we do it? Or hey, we can get you this really good result. Do you want to have a quick chat about how we've done it for a similar company? Something like this. Or what you can do for them, you have some sort of valuable lead magnet. Hey, do you want this free thing? And then from there, what you deliver what you can do for them for free, and then you can lead into talking about this sort of stuff. Right? This ties into my next point, which is not having an offer that works for outbound. So if you've relied on inbound leads up until this point, you'll have pricing, commitments, terms, offerings that make sense for people that already know, like, and trust you, right? If they've come to you inbound, like their auntie said you're amazing or something, and they trust their auntie, their auntie's done the selling, okay? You haven't done the selling. Now you're faced with people where no one's pre-sold you, okay? All right, so they don't know, like, and trust you, okay? Typically, these offers need to be adjusted to be able to sell them effectively for outbound. And the main thing here is the trust, right? That's why you typically have to reverse the risk in some way for outbound, okay? And this makes sense because you reached out to them, right? You can't say, hey, we can get you this amazing thing. And they say, okay, that sounds good. And what happens if you don't? Yeah, well, that's on you, buddy. You shouldn't have bought it. Like, it's not how it works with outbound. You're saying that you can help someone, and again, you're reaching out to a market. You're not saying everyone in your market you can help. You will qualify them on the discovery call and on your demo call when you pitch. Like, you're only going to pitch people that you can help. But when you pitch, there typically has to be some risk reversal or perceived risk reversal, because you can't say like, yeah, we can do all this great things for you, but like if it doesn't work, they're unlucky. All right. Typically, they don't trust you that much by the end of the sales process. They'll trust you after working together for 4 months. Like, and we're fully cognizant of our own sales process. Like, Our onboarding is an extension of the sales process. Our like check-in calls that happen in like day 4 and day 10, they're still sales. They're still sales. So like that is why you need to reverse the risk. You can't reach out to someone and say, yeah, we don't guarantee it works, so if it doesn't, that's on you. Yeah. So some ways to do this, you can guarantee results that can feel cheesy or whatever. So you can do that in your own way. You can do some sort of pay on results model where you charge after you get the results. You can have like a lower ticket entry offer, which we're seeing a lot of nowadays. Like maybe you have like a software offer that then leads into a more high-end offer. Or maybe you do like a free or really cheap bit of work, which leads into more conversations, which then leads into more trust, which then leads into you pitching high ticket things. Or often what people do is they do like a 30 or a 60-day pilot, which again, just feels like a smaller commitment. It's easier to say yes to. With that being said, some people just have an offer that works really well for outbound. And like we have clients where we just forward them all leads. They just pick up the phone and call them and they just close them because it's like, hey, we'll do this thing for you. You don't have to pay us anything. We'll just take a cut and we make you lots of money, and it works. Okay. So if you've got intrinsically doing something that people think is stupidly valuable, then like, yeah, cool. You don't really need to reverse the risk, but lots of people, you do. If you're like, well, why is no one buying? Like, they seem super interested and they just like ghosted after the call, but I sent out like proposals. You probably need to try one of these things. So the next thing I want to talk about, and I'll use my trusty golf analogy here, is trying to sell or just not treating cold email as being like a top of funnel activity. Okay. So the golf analogy is, let's say you're playing a hole in a round of golf and you need to get the ball from the tee box into the hole. Right? That is the sales process. The prospect needs to get moved from the tee box to the hole in order for the sale to happen. And what's happening is there's building trust and rapport, right, through that whole process. Right? They have to have that trust and rapport built. They will not buy if they don't have that built. So if you try and sell them too early, essentially what you're doing is you're getting the putter out on the fairway, and then you're like trying to close the deal and it's not going in the hole. And you're like, what? Why is no one buying? It's because they don't trust you yet. Like you can't just try and close these people straight away with an unproven product. You have to treat it as a top of funnel. You have to build trust. And maybe that might take 3 calls. But if you're trying to crack B2B outbound and scale your business, then it is going to be harder than inbound leads. Like it just is. And so you have to treat these people as cold prospects, and they require many touch points to get them across the finish line. Once you've closed 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 deals through outbound, you can definitely refine the process, like 100%. But just understand that a lot of touch points are likely to be required from the majority of prospects. Some prospects, you get them at the right time, they close really easily. Some clients are just angry people that don't have money and you'll never close. Doesn't matter how many touch points. We're just talking about the middle percentage, the middle 70% of prospects. They will typically require more touch points than any inbound lead, right? Because you have to build that trust. You have to hit that golf ball yourself. No one else has done it for you. They haven't gone on YouTube and watched like 10 hours of content before they get on the call and like, oh yeah, I know you pretty well already. Like they haven't done that. They may not be ready to buy now, and they almost certainly will not be ready to buy on your first call with them. Caveats. If you've got an absolutely fantastic product and the market's told you it's an absolutely fantastic product, then maybe you can. But you want to squeeze the juice out of every lead, every positive reply that you get to your outreach. And this is typically what we recommend as a high level. You don't have to do this exactly, but you have to understand the concept of why we do this. You add the prospect on LinkedIn when you get a lead come in. If you connect, you message them on LinkedIn. You email them proposing 2 times for a call and answer any questions. So let's say you reach out to them and say, hey, we can get you this cool thing, or we can get you this crazy result, or we can do this free computer analysis, or like, do you want to try out the software, or whatever the thing is. They respond positively. They probably have some questions. You connect with them on LinkedIn. You reply to them saying, fantastic, here's the answer to your questions. Let's have a quick call. I've got time at 2 p.m. tomorrow or 3 p.m. on Monday. Either of those work. If they don't answer your email, you just call them at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Hey, like, you responded to my email, like, does now suit for a quick chat? Otherwise, we can do 3 p.m. on Monday. Da, da, da. If they don't pick up, You email them again, you text them again. You then email them to a long-term nurture sequence, send them YouTube content. If they watch the YouTube content, they'll be recommended more of your videos. If they connected with you on LinkedIn, you can make them a Loom video, email it to them, send it to them on LinkedIn as well. You can take the email, you can put it into retargeting campaigns. There's a lot of stuff you can do, but you just need to treat this as top of funnel. They might buy from you in 18 months. Right? I would arguably say our best quality, biggest ticket, most qualified leads for us don't buy straight away. They probably buy like 9 months after we emailed them for the first time. Okay, so keep that in mind. And then just to continue this, essentially once you have them on the phone, we typically recommend, again, depends on a lot of things, but especially if you're selling like productized marketing services or something like this, then you'd have a discovery call over the phone, and then from that you'd book in a video call where you then walk through a presentation and pitch. Right? If you're sending out proposals and you're spending a lot of time and then not closing, don't do that. Just walk them through a proposal on a video call, and you can see the parts that they're excited about, the parts that they're not excited about, the parts that they're confused about, and so you can just get real tactile, real world feedback from what the outbound market thinks about what you're selling. Okay. Just a note here. If you're struggling to get people to get on the phone with you, change your call to action to be like, do you want to have a quick call, to do you want me to shoot over a video explainer, and just test that. Okay. I just recommend that. Not sending enough volume. Okay. Just not getting enough out. This is probably the biggest thing that I see. And I've probably changed my mind on this quite a bit. So most companies just underestimate the amount of action required to provide consistent lead flow, like severely underestimate. Okay. And so I'm just going to give you some numbers. The super rough industry standard from like a verified email address to a positive response is about 0.4%. Right? So if you want 15 positive responses a week to start calling and moving through this, you'll need to reach out to 3,750 companies a week. Okay. If you are reaching out to less than 1,000 people a week, I'll just say increase the volume. Before anything else, just increase the volume, get the volume up. Okay. I'll probably say do that first. Right. Then you can look at changing the call to action to go from do you want a call to do you want a video. Those are probably my first two things that I would add. I was pretty resistant to this idea at first, and essentially I would talk to another agency who was getting more leads for a very similar client than the client that we had. And I looked at everything they were doing, and like I could confidently say that our approach was significantly better than their approach. And like our reply rate and our booked call rate was significantly better. Let's say like 50% better. But they just sent 3 times the volume. So like it literally didn't matter. Like I don't think you can go and just write copy that's 3 times better, but you can just send 3 times the volume. So the amount of emails you send is arguably just the most important factor here. All right. Especially if you've got someone that's sending like 100 emails a week and you've got someone that's sending 10,000 emails a week. Like it's just a no contest. All right. If you want to get triple the amount of leads, triple the volume, you will not be able to write copy that's 3 times better. Unless your copy is atrocious. But if you're watching YouTube videos about this sort of thing, there's plenty on how to write better copy. If your copy is somewhat similar to the playbooks that most people are running, then volume will solve your answers a lot better than writing better copy. Start sending emails. So a lot of people I have talked to have tried cold email, but they really didn't. They gave up very early. So send 10,000 emails. I implore you, send 10,000 emails, and you'll learn a lot more than watching any YouTube video. Especially watching that in conjunction with YouTube videos is probably the most important thing. So after this video, that's probably what I'd recommend you go do. I guarantee that if you go through this and you start fixing all of these, you will get better results. But if you are ready to tap into a proven system and have somebody else, aka us, generate you qualified leads into your inbox right now, then there should be a link below this video. And if you want our full strategy, then there should be a video on screen now where I put together a 90-minute course on exactly what we do to generate results. See you there. Peace.